Well, for us, it's an exciting time of year. As I've told the players, the last week, 10 days, that, league opportunity to play in our playoffs. And it's a 2-week tournament, so it doesn't last very long. And, we were able to win a couple games last weekend against Mankato here at LeBon. And, now we got the right to play Friday night. And if you're successful, then you get to play for another trophy Saturday. So it's a fun 2 weeks, unlike our regular season where it lasts forever. And this one's a short one, and obviously within our league this year, it's from top to bottom, it's probably been the stiffest since I've been around. And so everybody's in a good position and prepared to, have some 2 exciting games Friday afternoon up at Ritter Arena. So we're looking forward to the challenge. It should be exciting. It should be fun. And everybody seems to be playing their best hockey right now, so the fans are going to get treated to some great women's hockey.
Great. Let's go to questions for Coach Johnson.
Jocko, number 1. Let's go. Bring it on. Here we go.
Jocko and then Mark.
Coach, is that the thing? Like, it's everybody's playing great hockey, and you were just up at Ritter a couple weeks ago seeing Minnesota play great hockey. So this is going to be a heck of a tournament. What do you expect to see from Minnesota on Friday?
Well, I mean, no different than we've seen in the past when we've played them and what I've seen on video. And so, they've got a handful of players that are very explosive. They score a lot of goals. Offensively, they're very gifted. And so, we need to take care of, little details, whether it's winning a face-off, whether it's taking not too many penalties. So it's playoff time, and, you really have to be dialed in and focused in. And, that's what we're trying to work on, yesterday, today in practice, and then we'll continue that process through tomorrow's workout and then head up there and get an opportunity to skate. But, it was challenging the last time we were up there. They had their 2 biggest crowds in their history. And as I told the team Friday as we were in the middle of the game, I mean, this is fun. I mean, I don't get to play, I get to coach, but it's the next best thing to playing, and so it's fun. The place is packed. You got a bunch of people yelling and screaming at you and not wanting to do well, and then we got a bunch of Badger fans that encourage us, and then we're scoring goals. So it's just a fun atmosphere. And so, when things get shortened up, like this is a 2-week tournament, it just creates more excitement, I think. And obviously everybody's navigated through their seasons, and now we're at the end and everybody's playing well, and that's what you look for. And it hasn't always been that way, but last several years it has been. And we need to go through Minnesota, or we need to go through Duluth, or we need to go through Ohio State if we're going to hoist some trophies.
Mark,
obviously you got the 2 wins against Minnesota, and then obviously the shootout win as well. Are there maybe a couple things that you can kind of put your finger on in terms of maybe what's been the difference for your team against the Gophers this season in those wins?
Well, I think the big thing for us is, to pay attention to details. And so, as I mentioned earlier, they've got a couple kids that, you have to pay attention to, and you have to play one-on-one really well and try to eliminate time and space with them handling the puck. Easier said than done. And so those, become focal points, especially within the neutral zone between the blue lines. And then in our defensive zone, you have to be strong one-on-one. You can't give up too many opportunities, grade A scoring chances, because, history shows us, especially this season, that they're able to score a lot of goals very quickly. And then the second part of it is you can't take too many penalties. You got to stay out of the penalty box this time of year, because a penalty here or there could be the difference in the game. And so, it comes down to, who's going to make plays. In those games that you mentioned that we were successful against Minnesota, our players made plays. We made, whether it was scoring a goal, whether it was blocking a shot, whether it was killing a penalty at a necessary time, we were able to do that. If we're going to be successful Friday and the rest of the season, those are the things that we have to do. We've showcased ourselves that we're able to do it. And now under the pressure situation of a playoff game, where if you win, you go into the next one and play for a trophy. And if you lose, then you're back on the bus coming home. So it just, everything's on the line. Push all your chips in and let's play.
Todd.
Mark, seeing the finalists for WCHA Awards, 3 up for Rookie of the Year, how much of that tells you, first part of it, how much of that tells you how good your freshman class has been this year? But 2, what do you expect to see out of them in a bigger spotlight like this weekend will be? given knowing that they've all been through a little bit of something like that before in their careers, can they kind of be that flat line that you need them to be in terms of their emotions?
I think, some of the things that they've learned, in the first 34 games and now 2 playoff games, I think is going to be helpful to them playing, well Friday. All 3 of them had a little bit of adversity at different times of the season, which is natural for freshmen. They've pushed themselves through it, and they've got better because of it. And so those things are encouraging. You looked at the first 10 minutes of our first game against Mankato, and you could tell they were a little bit nervous, a little bit hesitant, but as the game settled down, their confidence started to go up, and they played much better. And so having 2 games under their belt already, having played up at Ritter and having success, especially in the second game, where Kristen got a couple goals, KK played really well. Claire had, a goal and a couple assists and did really well. So it won't be any different than it was there. I mean, it doesn't get any more hostile than it was the last time we were there with the crowd and them trying to win our league championship, and we were able to play at a real high level and have success. So as a coach, it's going to be fun to see how we handle it, and I anticipate for our younger players having what they've gone through this season, as most young kids do. At the end, they're playing the best they've played since they've been here, and so now it's just going out there. The game's no different. It's still 60 minutes. Both teams are on sides, and now it's going to be able to manage your emotions and go out there and play up to your capabilities. And I think they're going to be able to do that.
Well, Andy, and then Mark.
Mark, has KK surprised you at all?
Yeah, I mean, she surprised me early on. I knew she was a good north-south skater. I didn't realize her east-west ability to move from side to side was as quick as she's shown me early on. And so those were some of the things early on that really surprised me, because I knew she was a great skater and could navigate around the ice and offensively gifted and doing a lot of different things. But her lateral movement as she comes in and goes from right to left or left to right is about as good as I've seen from a female defenseman. And so the other thing is her ability to get the puck to the net. And as you well know, whether it's men's hockey or women's hockey, a lot of teams are structured to block shots, and they've got layers of people to try to get the puck blocked before it gets to your goaltender. But she's got a knack of getting that puck through, and it not necessarily a rocket hard shot. And it doesn't need to be. All it needs to have eyes and find an opening, whether it's going 10 miles an hour or 100 miles an hour. If it finds that opening, it's going in. And so those couple areas have really impressed me.
Mark.
Mark, with the all-conference stuff came out last week, and with all due respect to all the players who received honors, was there anyone on your team that you were hoping maybe would have gotten recognized that just didn't get the nod this year?
I don't go down that path. It's like, as coaches, as these awards come out, it's just outside noise, and, the players that earn it. The one thing that's different, this year compared to years past is that you look at our first team all-stars within the WCHA, 5 out of those 6 players are fifth-year players. And so, for some of the younger players or some of the players that maybe in a normal year where those kids wouldn't be in the league, but it's not about individual awards right now. Those things, players can feel good about themselves. It's more focusing on what we can do as a team. And you got to be together collectively right now. You got to be able to support one another, and it's got to be a full locker room that are willing to do that, because the margin for error now is so slim that, if everybody isn't on board, if somebody's worrying about, I should have been on that team or I should have won this award, that's not going to help what's going on right now. So you got to be present. You got to be in the moment if you're going to have success, not only this weekend, but in the NCAA tournament.
Andy.
Mark, every athlete has to prove themselves regardless of what the circumstances are. It could be one shift, it could be one period, it could be one game. How has KK proven herself to you this year?
I think, to me, it's like a lot of young freshman players. And so you're coming into a league that, you look at Minnesota, you look at Duluth, you look at Ohio State. They've got great teams. They've got older teams. They got a bunch of fifth-year players. And so if I'm a young player coming into the league, this year is probably going to be more challenging than other years for freshmen. And so my ability to adapt and to adjust and to embrace adversity. And so Friday night, I might play really well and have a great game. I might score a goal. I might get an assist. I feel really good about myself. And then Saturday night, it doesn't go real well. What do I do? How do I react? How do I come back Monday and keep processing that and pushing through that? Because there's going to be nights, there's going to be games that things are going to go well for you. And, I look at KK, and that's part of, the DNA right there. Is like you look at the 34 games, there's a bunch of great games. There's a bunch of games where it's a learning opportunity. And you can then break it down to shifts. You can break it down to periods, penalty kill, power play, different things. And so, the competition that we face, we've had the second, as far as strength of schedule of anybody in the country, second toughest. And so, for the younger players, we mentioned early on, especially our freshmen, it's been a year where expectations for the individuals might have been really high with numbers and goals and assists, but at the end of the day, I can look at each one of them. They've grown, they've developed. It's exciting for them to get to play in their first playoff series. They're going to get an opportunity to play in an NCAA game. And then they get to train this summer, and I anticipate and I expect, and I'm going to see them as they continue to grow, come back next September, and they're going to be better than they are right now, just because of the nature of our business. When those kids come back to start their sophomore year, they're more comfortable, they're more relaxed, they know how we navigate, they know how to get around classes, they're going to be way more comfortable. And what we end up seeing as they start that sophomore year is just they jump up. And so what we've seen this year has been good. It's been rewarding. Sometimes individually it's challenging because I always want to play well and I always want to do well and I always want to make a contribution to the team. But, that's not the real world we live in. There's going to be challenges. How do I embrace those challenges? How do I take adversity and work through it, because knowing if I'm able to come through that, I'm going to be better because of it. And so with each of them, and it's been at their own moments in time, and that's part of what I enjoy working with them, and then watching them develop and continue to get better and better. And that's what they've done all year, and KK probably leads that group.